So we shall read from Bhagavad Gita as it is, Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, Text 10. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Please repeat. Saha yagya praja shristva pura uvacha prajapati anena prasavishyadvam esha va astu ishta kamaduk sahayagya prajashristva purovacha prajapati anena prasavishyadvam esha vostvishta kamaduk sahayagya prajashristva purovacha prajapati anena prasavishyadvam esha vostvishta kamaduk saha along with yagya sacrifices praja generations shristva creating pura anciently uvacha said Prajapati, the Lord of creatures. Anena, by this. Prasavishyadvam, be more and more prosperous. Esha, this. Va, your. Astu, let it be. Ishta, of all desirable things. Kamaduk, bestower. Translation. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yagya, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Please repeat. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yagya, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. So who wants to live happily? Everyone. And who wants to achieve liberation? So this is the method. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The material creation by the Lord of creatures, Vishnu, is a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. All living entities within the material creation are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relationship to Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada said, we will not say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one purport. We will say that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every purport. And he's true to his word here. The Vedic principles are to help us understand this eternal relation, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vedais cha sarvair aham eva vedya. The Lord says that the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Him. In the Vedic hymns it is said, Patim Vishvasyamet Shwaram. Therefore, the Lord of the living entities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, 2.4.20, Srila Shukadev Goswami describes the Lord as Pati in so many ways. Shriya Patir Yagya Pati Prajapatir Diyam Patir Loka Patir Darapati Patir Gatis Chandaka Vrishni Sattvatam Prasidatam Me Bhagavan Satam Pati. The Prajapati is Lord Vishnu. He is the Lord of all living creatures, all worlds, and all beauties, and the proprietor of everyone. The Lord created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yagyas, sacrifices, for the satisfaction of Vishnu, so that while in the material world they can live very comfortably without anxiety, and after finishing the present material body, they can enter into the kingdom of God. So who wants to live very comfortably without anxiety, and after finishing the present material body, enter into the kingdom of God? So this is the method. That is the whole program for the conditioned soul. By performance of yagya, the conditioned souls gradually become Krishna conscious and become godly in all respects. In the age of Kali, the Sankirtana yagya, the chanting of the names of God, is recommended by the Vedic scriptures. And this transcendental system was introduced by Lord Chaitanya for the deliverance of all men in this age. Sankirtan Yagya and Krishna consciousness go well together. Lord Krishna, in his devotional form as Lord Chaitanya, is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32 as follows, with special reference to the Sankirtan yagya. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Sumedasa. In this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. So this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, is very important. Krishna Varnam. So Varna has two meanings. One is category, like Varnashram Dharma. So Krishna Varna means he's in the same category as Krishna, or in other words, he is Krishna. And Varna also means to describe or glorify, so he's engages in describing and glorifying Krishna. And Tvisa Krishna means that his color is not blackish like Krishna, but as we know, his color is golden, the golden avatar. Sango Pangastra Parshadam, and he is accompanied by his associates who are like his weapons for defeating the age of Kali. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar, the performance of Sankirtan Yagya. Yajanti hi Sumedasa, so those who are intelligent, Sumedasa, they will worship the Lord by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. So if anyone accuses you of being unintelligent, you can say, no, I'm highly intelligent, because it's stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that anyone who performs Sankirtan Yagya is highly intelligent, Sumedasa. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the opposite word, Alphamedasa, less intelligent, is used to refer to people who worship demigods. So, in this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. Other yagyas prescribed in the Vedic literatures are not easy to perform in this age of Kali. But the Sankirtan Yagya is easy and sublime for all purposes, as recommended in Bhagavad Gita also, 9:14, and I'll read that. Satatam kirtayanto mam. It's just like the Shikshastaka, Kirtaniya Siddhahari. So, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantas chadrida vritaha namasyantas chamam bhaktya nitya yukta upasite. Translation. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. So yes, Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Lila. So, Sankirtana means to glorify all of these, but beginning with Nama Sankirtana yagya. But eventually, Nama, Rupa, Guna, and Lila. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Once in Bombay, we were staying with Srila Prabhupada at Seaface Park. Srila Prabhupada had a good friend and supporter named Kartikeya Mahadevya. And Kartikeya Mahadevya had a brother named Kumuchandra Mahadevya who had a vacant flat in Seaface Park. And every evening Srila Prabhupada would give a talk there, basically to the devotees on the nectar of devotion. But by chance, if some outsider came, Srila Prabhupada would change the level of discourse from the nectar of devotion to the Bhagavad Gita. So one evening a big Hindu, Sri B.M. Kamdar, came and said to Srila Prabhupada that India is a land of Mahatmas, that India has so many problems. Why is that? The assumption being that in the presence of Mahatmas there should not be so many problems. And Srila Prabhupada replied, the reason India has so many problems is because you do not know how to distinguish who is a Mahatma from who is not a Mahatma. And then he went on to describe the actual qualities of a Mahatma. So we should take advantage of this special opportunity given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Parampara, through Srila Prabhupada to us, and use whatever time we have to chant Hare Krishna. In one talk in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada said, if you've got time, chant Hare Krishna. Don't speak nonsense. Don't waste time. Chant Hare Krishna. So we should always be engaged. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindeya. We should always engage our mind in the lotus feet of Krishna by chanting His holy names, by reading His transcendental glories, and by serving Him, serving His devotees, serving His mission. And right now we are having the Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon. So I also encourage you to participate. If you don't have a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, I encourage everyone to have a set at home. And otherwise you can also participate by helping to distribute the sets of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada completed the Chaitanya Charitamrita in Juhu, Bombay. Every morning at about 6 o'clock, I would go up to Srila Prabhupada's quarters in Juhu to accompany him on his morning walk. But one morning when I went up, his door was locked, and so one side was Prabhupada's quarters, and the other side was his staff's quarters. And that door was also locked. But I knocked, and eventually Srila Prabhupada's servant opened the door, and he said that Srila Prabhupada had completed his translation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that he was in a very blissful mood, and that he had written a most beautiful glorification of his Guru Maharaj. That's the concluding words to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said that we should celebrate by having a feast. So the translation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita was a very important project, dear to Srila Prabhupada, and so at this time we take the advantage, and again, as I mentioned, you all should have a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita at home, and also help in the distribution of the sets. So, my dear devotees, thank you for listening so patiently and attentively. And now if any of you have any questions or comments, any reflections you would like to share, you can raise your hand.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you please explain one more time how to know, right, who is Mahatma and who is not Mahatma?
Well, we just read, there are two verses, one after the other, that describe Mahatma. So 9:13. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritima shritaha bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, Mahatmas, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Then text 14. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, those great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So I first met Srila Prabhupada and joined ISKCON in Boston in 1969. And we would go every day to the Boston Commons and perform Harinam Sankirtana and distribute literature, which then was mainly Back to Godhead magazines. And one day, for some reason, I had to leave the Sankirtana party to go about a block away to a major shopping street. And somehow as I was walking down the street, what appeared to be a middle-aged, ordinary American man saw me, and he started going like this, Mahatma, 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 which I thought was amusing, but at the same time I hoped there was some truth to it. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I was just thinking about this question that how do you recognize who a Mahatma is? And oftentimes I think in my life that I feel very fortunate to have the association of such senior and advanced souls. But I think that's the problem, is that sometimes, yes, there are many great souls, but I feel there's something stopping me in my own personal life that's from accepting the instructions. Sometimes I find it can be very difficult to be told to do something and to do it immediately. And I was just wondering, in your own experience, did you have that with Srila Prabhupada? Did you find that there were times he may have asked you to do something and you felt, I don't know if I can do this? And how did you overcome that?
Yeah. Well, in 1971 at Calcutta, I had, for me, what was quite a significant discussion with His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami. And he said that the secret of success in spiritual life is to follow the orders of the spiritual master and please him. So that was my conviction, and whenever Srila Prabhupada asked me to do something, I willingly tried my best. And I'd also heard that when the spiritual master gives an instruction, he also gives the potency to execute it. So I didn't really have any difficulty in accepting any of Srila Prabhupada's instructions and trying to execute them. Before coming to Juhu, I was in Calcutta. Yeah. So that year in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada spoke to me in his hut, and he said during the British rule, they had 3 states: Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. So which do you want? So I said, Srila Prabhupada, I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Just tell me. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, I want you to decide. And I understood that Srila Prabhupada was forcing me to come to a higher level because he had said that there are 3 classes of disciples. The one in the lowest class receives an instruction from the spiritual master and then forgets what the spiritual master told him or begrudgingly accepts it. The second class disciple receives an instruction from the spiritual master and executes it perfectly. And the first class disciple knows what the spiritual master wants even without being told. So Srila Prabhupada wanted me to decide. So from Mayapur we came to Calcutta, and I was, chanting in front of the deities and praying for some direction. And I wasn't getting any answer. So one day I decided to try to trick Srila Prabhupada into revealing where he wanted me to go. So I went into his room and I said, Srila Prabhupada, I was thinking I should stay in Calcutta. And then I gave the reasons. And he said, yes, you can stay. And then I said, but then again, I was thinking I should go back to Madras. And then I gave the reasons. And in the exact same tone of voice, exact same spatial expression, he said, yes, you can do. And by then, I understood my plan was not working. But I was invested in it, so I played it out, and I said, but then again, I was thinking of going to Bombay. And I gave the reason, and same facial expression, same tone of voice. He said, yes, you can do. So then, Srila Prabhupada left Calcutta and went to Bombay. And I was still thinking. And then I considered that our main program in India was life membership. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said if you just make, all of us combined, if you just make 3 life members a day, I will do everything else. And I also saw that if we kept our promises to our life members, they would be, very supportive of ISKCON, and they themselves would make life members. But if we didn't keep our promises, then even if we ourselves went to make someone a life member, they might not agree because they'd heard bad things about us. So then I wrote Srila Prabhupada that I feel I should come to Bombay and take over the life membership office. But when I got to Bombay, after a couple of days, Srila Prabhupada had a meeting to discuss who would take charge of the project. And in the meeting, Srila Prabhupada said, so Giriraj, you will take charge, which was not at all my idea in coming to Bombay. And I winced, but then again I knew, following the order of the spiritual master is the secret of success. So I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. And then he said, now the whole responsibility is on you. And, I winced in my mind. It was just my mind, but my mind was thinking, how could Srila Prabhupada say that? Can't he see how difficult this is for me? But I accepted it, and I did my best as the temple president, and he was pleased. Anyway, I could say a lot about that. Tamal Krishna Goswami didn't particularly appreciate my management, and he complained to Srila Prabhupada, and he kept bringing people who he thought would be a good manager to be vice president. Oh. So, but, one by one they all left. And then Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Srila Prabhupada, now I know why you wanted to keep Giriraj as the president, because no matter what happens, he won't leave. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, you have understood. So, yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj, for your class. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that there are two different meanings of Varna, and you said one is category. And could you say again what was the other one, and if you can say something more about that?
Yeah, the other meaning is to describe. So Krishna Varnam, Trisa Krishnam. So Krishna Varnam, it means that this incarnation of Godhead is in the same category as Krishna, which means he is Krishna. And he's also always describing Krishna and glorifying Krishna. So it's a very beautiful description of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So I'll conclude with one,
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the class. You mentioned how Prabhupada gave you that responsible position of managing the life membership program, and with any management or responsible position comes many anxieties and stresses, especially when things don't work out. So I wanted to ask you, how did you kind of manage this? How did you kind of cope with the dilemmas that come with such a responsible position?
Yeah, for me, my main solace and strength was japa. I would always chant at least 12 rounds after Mangal Arati. And by, making the attempt to chant sincere, attentive japa, I got a lot of strength and clarity. And that really helped me in performing my duties as the temple president. And during the day, if some crisis came up, then I would just chant more rounds, and I would usually get the answer, how to proceed. So that was my main solace and my main strength.
There's one more question if you're willing.
Okay.
You need to switch the mic on.
Maharaj, because you had a lot of direct association with Srila Prabhupada, what was your most memorable interaction with him, and that which you'll always remember forever?
Well, in a way, it was the first time I spoke with him. I'm just afraid that we're running out of time. But I would love to tell that story. But yeah, so I was a student at Brandeis University. And Srila Prabhupada and the devotees came to Brandeis and had a program. But yeah, I'll have to answer your question after the class because there's only 5 minutes. But I'd love to answer it. Yeah.
So thank you very much, everyone. And let's say 3 Hari Bols for Maharaj for gracing us with his attendance today. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! He's Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaja ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So if everyone can stand up, we'll have